Let's bring in our next guest, Thomas Haverty, Strategic Investigative Services. Thomas, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Chuck. It's good to be here.
Nice to have you. Tell me what your company does.
We're a private investigation agency based out of Fresno. We specialize in criminal, civil investigations, litigation support, missing persons, kind of track down some fugitives every once in a while.
Okay, so wait a minute. So you're not like an insurance investigator.
Well, we do a lot of that. A lot of our cases
the
are
disability cases, those kind of things.
We do that stuff. If it's involving some sort of litigation, if there's a law office, we work a lot with attorneys and law firms, businesses, and insurance companies. So we do a good amount of that secret surveillance on people that, you know, they can't walk, they can't bend over.
You're a private eye.
I am a private eye, yeah.
How did you become the private eye? Did you see it in the back of the comic book?
You can't really see it. You can't really set into that secret spy kit, and you know, it doesn't come in a Cracker Jack box. Yeah. You can't get your license. In California, you do have to be licensed as a private investigator. You have to have a minimum of 6,000 hours to qualify to take the private investigator's exam, and there's certain requirements of how you can earn those hours. Most of the private investigators earn their hours to qualify to take the exam through law enforcement, military, working for other licensed investigative agencies, or other things like a claims adjuster for an insurance company.
How did you get in it?
I was a police officer for 20 years in the Bay Area, and was involved.
What part of the Bay Area?
Santa Clara County.
Okay, the easy part.
It was pretty nice there, but you know, if a lot of the citizens in that community knew a lot of the things that I was involved in investigating, they would probably be afraid to come outside. But
right.
The actual crime rate is low, and the cost of living is high. The crime rate is low. It's a nice area to live, but there's some interesting things that go on in that area that most people aren't aware of.
I'm sure there is. So what brought you to Fresno?
I'm originally from Fresno. Okay. I was born and raised here.
Okay.
And after all the time in the Bay Area, it's a different vibe over there.
Sure is.
You know, the Central Valley is more family-oriented and
less traffic.
Everything in the Bay Area is really fast, and you know, I just decided I wanted to come back home. Right. So after 20 years, I decided to open up shop here. Okay,
let's not talk about the insurance things or all that. Let's get into some meat, man. Tell me some of the things that you've investigated.
A lot of the things that we investigate are related to personal injury or general liability. So one of the recent cases that we had, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the case of Eli Villarreal, who was a 9-year-old boy in Dinuba that was hit and killed in a hit-and-run accident, and he was actually drugged several blocks underneath the vehicle. It's, you know, pretty gruesome. Unfortunately, things like that are the things that we investigate where there's serious matters. One of the reasons why I got out of law enforcement early, I was a crime scene evidence investigator as one of my assignments, and you know, that's really cool on TV, but it's really a horrific assignment. Most law enforcement officers see things that would bring most citizens to tears, and most crime scene evidence investigators are involved in long-term exposure at those crime scenes. So it is really horrific, and that was one of the reasons I decided to get out of that career and back into the private sector. And fortunately, because of my expertise in that area, I do get involved in those gruesome cases.
Still?
Yeah.
At what point would you get involved in a gruesome case now? From a lawyer that hires you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm involved in a case involving an individual who was riding a bicycle on North Bryant Road several months ago, was hit by a car and dismembered. And we're involved in the investigation of that. So.
How do you investigate something like that after the fact, after such a long time?
Actually, we were brought into the investigation within a week after the accident had occurred, and go out to the crime scene. And
is there still evidence after a week?
There is. Most of it has been collected. Some of the evidence that was collected by law enforcement, they've examined that, and some of the evidence that they don't desire to hold on to has been released to us, and we have an evidence storage facility where we keep some of that evidence for future use. And we go out and basically look for witnesses to see if we could find out anybody else that was in the area when the accident occurred, checking with residents, and we review the 911 logs and calls that people made to the Highway Patrol regarding the accident, and we track people down and try to find out what happened and just document the case.
Our lead-in on the show is Cheaters.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure you've seen it.
I've seen it.
Okay. Do you ever get anybody call you up for something like that?
I get people that call me up for that all the time.
Really?
And, you know, to get into that, in California, it doesn't really make any sense to do that. You're wasting your money. Unless you have another issue beyond cheating.
Right.
Because if you think that your spouse or significant other is cheating on you, there's an 85% chance that they are. So just move on. Save your money for your divorce lawyer.
You're saying there's an 85% chance, if you think that they are, there's 85% chance that they are?
That's true. Yes.
Wow, that's a pretty big number.
And just because you hire a private investigator to follow a cheater, and the investigator might not catch them cheating, that doesn't mean that they're not cheating. That just means the investigator hasn't been able to catch them. So it's expensive to hire an investigator to do something like that.
I bet.
So unless there's a child custody issue or, you know, some other issue other than you're going to get a divorce or you're going to split up, you know, move on.
Awesome. Now, if people here in the Valley want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
There's a few ways that people can reach us. We have a website, which is www.sisfresno.com. There's a contact page on there where they could send us some information about a request for an investigation. You can also give me a call, and my number is 559-492-7130.
Where would you say your extreme expertise is? What area?
Tracking people down, locating people,
Really?
and doing interviews. And
tracking people down, lost relatives or criminals?
We do track down some criminals for bail bond agencies, dog the bounty hunter kind of stuff. I'm also a licensed bail agent, so that helps the bail bond companies decide to use us to track down their fugitives. But we track down people for attorneys that need to track down a defendant, witnesses to their cases, or we also deal with businesses that are trying to locate somebody for a business transaction. Last week we had a company from Chicago contact us, and they were trying to contact an individual here in the Central Valley that owned property in Texas, and they were trying to open up a wind farm in Texas.
Wow.
And they wanted to contact this landowner to see if they could get a business agreement going with him to sell some of his land to them for their purposes. Pretty
interesting stuff.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Thomas Haverty, Strategic Investigative Services, buddy. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me on.
It's good having you. Hey, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Stick around.